I am Dr. Arun Kumar. I'm going to discuss about rheumatoid arthritis today. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease predominantly of joints, but with many systemic manifestations of chronic inflammation. Most typical features of rheumatoid arthritis are symmetrical polyarthritis and tenosynovitis, and you have a morning stiffness, elevating ESR levels, and appearance of autoantibodies that target immunoglobulins in the serum. The epidemiology of rheumatoid arthritis is population worldwide is 1.1 to 3% of population suffer from rheumatoid arthritis. Age of onset usually is from 35 to 50 years of age. And if you take sex as factor, women are more commonly affected 3 to 4 times more than men. The etiology is unknown antigen, maybe Mycoplasma, Clostridium, and Epstein-Barr virus. Of the environmental factors, only cigarette smoking seems to be associated with rheumatoid arthritis. Genetic predisposition like HLA-DR4 and DR1 might cause rheumatoid arthritis. That is, rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease triggered by an unknown antigen in a genetically susceptible individual. The pathogenesis of rheumatoid arthritis are exposure to antigen, probably viral or bacterial. Antibodies are formed after this exposure. These antibodies cross-react with the cartilage, causing cartilage destruction, after which cartilage components are released. These cartilage components serve as an autoantigens. Now, the cartilage components serve as an autoantigens, then activate CD4 plus T cells. Now, they are divided into two types. One, it induces B cells to become rheumatoid factors, synthesizing plasma cells. The other, release cytokines that mediate chronic inflammation. It stimulates synovial macrophages. The induced B cells form rheumatoid factor. The rheumatoid factor is an IgM antibody directed against Fc component of circulating IgG. Rheumatoid factor binds to the IgG and forms immune complex that circulate in the serum, which then get deposited in vessels, heart, and pleura, causing vasculitis, carditis, and pleuritis. It also gets deposited in the synovium, which stimulates synovial cells to proliferate. Stimulated macrophages, stimulated synovial macrophages secrete interleukin 1 and TNF alpha. These cytokines play a pivotal role in stimulating synovial cells to proliferate. And this hyperplastic synovium grows over the articular cartilage of the joint and covers it. This is called pannus. These stimulated synovial cells also produce inflammatory mediators, matrix metalloproteinases, that contribute to cartilage destruction. Pannus, which is formed, destroys the cartilage, articular cartilage, and subcondylar bone. After the cartilage gets destroyed, the pannus further grows and bridges the opposing bone, forming a fibrous ankylosis, which eventually ossifies, ultimately resulting in bony ankylosis. This abnormal joint fuses resulting in deformities. The predominantly infiltrating cell is a T lymphocyte. So in diseases such as HIV, where T cells are decreased, it characteristically improves pre-existing rheumatoid arthritis. This also explains why RA is very rare in patients with HIV. This is a pictorial representation of a normal joint and an RA joint. In a normal joint, there is synovial membrane, the cartilage, and the capsule. In rheumatoid arthritis, there is inflamed synovial membrane and pannus formation with major cell types of T lymphocytes and macrophages, and minor cell types of fibroblasts, plasma cells, endothelium, and dendritic cells. And the synovium fluid is filled with neutrophils. There is also cartilage thickening in the rheumatoid arthritis. Clinical features are constitutional symptoms. Because RA is a systemic disease, patients present with constitutional symptoms like fatigue, anorexia, weight loss, generalized weakness before the onset of the arthritis. And once if it involves the joint, the articular manifestations are chronic symmetrical polyarthritis. There are also extra-articular manifestations. Chronic symmetrical polyarthritis is characterized by symmetrical involvement, and the patient usually has morning stiffness, or stiffness following an inactivity that improves but often last for more than 30 minutes and may linger for hours. There will be a painful, swollen, warm joint. This is followed by characteristical deformities developed due to destruction of the tendon, ligaments, and joint capsule. Some common deformities are like the joint arthritis involves MP joint. There will be ulnar deviation of fingers, and if it involves the wrist joint, there's radial deviation of the wrist, forming a Z-type deformity where there's radial deviation of wrist with ulnar deviation of the fingers. RA also involves proximal interphalangeal joints and distal interphalangeal joints, causing swan neck deformity, which is hyperextension of the proximal interphalangeal joint and flexion of the distal interphalangeal joints. And the other deformity is Botrin deformity, in which there is flexion of the proximal interphalangeal joint and the extension of the distal interphalangeal joints. It also involves peripheral joints. Those are like early phase, metacarpophalangeal joints and proximal interphalangeal joints of the fingers are involved. Also, the metatarsophalangeal joints of the toes and wrists are involved. In the later stages of the disease also involves the large joints such as knee, elbow, ankles, and shoulders are involved. Axial joint involvement. With almost all patients in RA develop symmetrical arthritis of their peripheral joint. Involvement of axial skeleton is less universal. However, when axial skeleton involvement does occur, the cervical spine is the most commonly affected, resulting in atlantoaxial subluxation, which manifests as neck stiffness, neck pain, and hyperreflexia. Joints that are never involved in rheumatoid arthritis are distal interphalangeal joint and joints of the lower back. So, if a patient develops interphalangeal joint pain and if he has more arthritis or the distal interphalangeal joint, you can rule out rheumatoid arthritis. Or if the patient is also having a low backache and if he has lumbar spondylosis, we can rule out rheumatoid arthritis. These are the deformities which I was speaking about. The ulnar deviation of the hand and fingers, and if it occurs in the leg, it causes hallux valgus. And there's also Botrin deformity, swan neck deformity, and hammer toe. The left side shows a Botrin deformity, and the right side shows swan neck deformity. These are classical deformities of the hands in rheumatoid arthritis. This picture shows the swollen joints, like which we discussed earlier. We have prominent ulnar deviation of the hand and flexion of hyperextension deformity of the fingers. Pathology stage 1 is clinical stage. Before RA becomes clinically apparent, immune pathology is already beginning. In blood, we can see raised ESR, C-reactive proteins, and rheumatoid factors may be detectable years before the first diagnosis. The next stage is synovial involvement. Here, early changes are vascular congestion with new blood vessel formation, proliferation of synoviocytes, infiltration of the subsynovial layers by polymorphs, lymphocytes, and plasma cells. There is thickening of the capsular structures, villus formation of the synovium, and a cell-rich effusion into the joints and tendon sheath. In stage 3, the destruction starts. There is persistent inflammation causing joint and tendon destruction. Articular cartilage is eroded. At the margins of the joint, bone is also eroded by granulation tissue invasion and osteoclastic resorption. Similar changes occur in tendon sheath, causing tenosynovitis, partial or complete rupture of the tendons, and swelling of joints, tendons, and bursting. The fourth stage is deformity. Combination of articular destruction, capsular stretching, and tendon rupture leads to progressive instability and deformity of the joint. The inflammatory process usually continues, but the mechanical and functional effects of the joint and tendons disruption now becomes vital. The extra-articular manifestation of rheumatoid arthritis are rheumatoid nodules, which are firm, non-tender subcutaneous skin nodules seen in 20 to 30% of patients. They usually occur in areas of mechanical stress. It is also like pressure points, which is seen over the oliguranon, occiput, Achilles tendon, and due to focal vasculitis. These rheumatoid nodules are composed of central fibrinoid necrosis surrounded by epithelioid macrophages, lymphocytes, and granulation tissue. Methotrexate may flare this process. So, if you see a patient with rheumatoid nodules, don't need to prefer methotrexate in the beginning. Vasculitis is like if it involves the skin, bowel, and peripheral nerves. It also involves vessels of all sizes. Here, the pathology is acute necrotizing vasculitis due to circulating antigen antibody complex. If it involves lungs, it causes pleuritis and pleural effusion with low glucose and pH, nodules of the lung parenchyma, and diffuse interstitial fibrosis. In eye, it causes episcleritis, keratoconjunctivitis sicca, form Sjogren's syndrome. If it involves the heart, it causes constrictive pericarditis and pericardial effusion. And in neurological, you get mononeuritis multiplex, carpal tunnel syndrome, and tarsal tunnel syndrome. Pelti's syndrome is a syndrome which is associated with rheumatoid arthritis. There you see rheumatoid arthritis with splenomegaly with neutropenia. And Kaplan syndrome is rheumatoid arthritis with pneumoconiosis and lung nodules. The most common cause of death in RA is coronary artery disease. Investigations you can do rheumatoid arthritis, rheumatoid factors, just 70 to 80% seen in patients with rheumatoid arthritis. Even though you get seen 70 to 80%, RF is rather non-specific and can also be associated with many other autoimmune and chronic infectious disease. And the next one is anti-cyclic circulated peptide. Anti-CCP is more than 80% sensitive and more than 95% specific. Radiological findings like this, you can see erosion of joints, osteopenia, and elevated ESR or C-reactive proteins. And you also get an anemia which is normocytic in nature. Abnormal X-rays are no longer needed to establish a diagnosis of RA. Instead, you have a diagnostic criteria, which is like ACR-ULAR for rheumatoid arthritis is used. This is a diagnostic criteria. Here is divided into joint involvement, serology, acute phase reactance, and duration of symptoms. Like depending upon the amount of level of number of joints involved and whether the large joints are involved or small joints are involved, they have created a different score. If one large joint is involved, score is 0. 2 to 10 large joints are involved, score is 1. And 1 to 3 small joints like metacarpophalangeal joints, proximal interphalangeal joints, thumb interphalangeal joint, metatarsophalangeals, these all you get a score of 2. And 4 to 10 small joints, the score is 3. And more than 10 joints, at least you have to have one small joint to give a score of 5. And in serology, if you get a negative rheumatoid factor and negative ACPA, the score is 0. And you have a low positive rheumatoid factor and low positive anti-CCP, the score is 2. That is more than 3 times the upper normal limit. And high positive is like if you have more than 3 times upper normal limit. For that, you give a score of 3. Acute phase reactance is also considered like if the normal CRP and normal ESR, it is 0. If you have abnormal CRP and abnormal ESR, you give a score of 1. The duration of symptoms, if it is less than 60, the score is 0. And if it is more than 6, the score is 1. Criteria like if a score of more than 6 or equal to 6 fulfills the requirement of defined rheumatoid arthritis. These are the radio X-ray findings of RA. The hand shows joint space narrowing with marginal erosion and osteoporosis, mainly involving the proximal interphalangeal joint and metacarpophalangeal joints. Bone loss is primarily juxta-articular. Like if you come to the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis, this is modifying anti-rheumatic drugs, which is also called as DMARDs, and the symptomatic control of rheumatoid arthritis. Like disease-modifying anti-rheumatic disease, neither NSAID nor steroids stop RA from progressing. Any patient with erosive rheumatoid arthritis needs a disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drug as a part of initial therapy. DMARDs are so named because of their ability to prevent or slow the structural progression of RA. DMARDs are the only class of drugs that alter the course of the rheumatoid arthritis. DMARDs exhibit delayed onset of action, that is, they take approximately 6 to 12 weeks. So before starting, to start DMARDs, we should also start with NSAIDs or steroids. There are two classes of DMARDs. One non-biological DMARDs or conventional DMARDs, and the other is biological DMARDs. In non-biological DMARDs, we have methotrexate, hydroxychloroquine with CQ, sulfasalazine, leflunomide, minocycline, gold salts, and penicillin among. In biological DMRDs, it is further divided into TNF alpha inhibitors, which is infliximab, adalimumab, etanercept, golimumab, and certolizumab, rituximab, abatacept, anakinra. Methotrexate, like, it is the initial drug of choice. It is always used in combination therapy, not alone. As I said earlier, methotrexate is the best initial DMARDs. TNF alpha inhibitors like infliximab, adalimumab, antracet, golimumab, and certolizumab. TNF alpha inhibitors are the first line, as DMARDs are for those not responding to methotrexate or intolerant methotrexate. They are often used initially in combination with methotrexate to prevent disease progression. TNF inhibitors are safe in pregnancy. Toxicity of anti-TNF alpha drugs, it may also cause reactivation of the TB. So screen with a PPT prior to the use of TNF alpha inhibitors, and it may also flare the infection. Rituximab, this agent originally developed for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, is effective in rheumatoid arthritis as a DMARD by removing CD20 positive lymphocytes from circulation. This leads to excellent long-term control of RA. Rituximab is used in combination with methotrexate in those not responding to anti-TNF medication. The hydroxychloroquine. These agents, this is commonly used given in COVID. These agents can also be used in monotherapy as DMRD in mild diseases in which we wish to avoid toxicity of methotrexate. More often, hydroxychloroquine is used in combination with methotrexate as a DMRD. Hydroxychloroquine is also toxic to the retina. Both hydroxychloroquine and sulfasalazine are safe in pregnancy. Now, sulfasalazine, leflunomide, abatacept, and anakinra. These agents are alternative DMRDs to add to methotrexate if anti-TNF agents do not control the disease. Sulfasalazine might cause bone marrow toxicity, hemolysis in G6P deficiency diseases, and it may also flare the skin reactions like rash. The most important issue in RA is stopping the progression of the disease. Any patient with erosive disease or X-ray abnormalities need at least methotrexate to slow the disease progression. These are the DMRDs and the table column. Methotrexate is a purine antimetabolite. It has hepatotoxicity, stomatitis, and cytopenia. So, if you give patients, if you put patients on methotrexate, we have to monitor the LFT levels and do CBC every 6 months. Leflunomide is a pyrimidine synthesis inhibitor. It also causes hepatotoxicity and causes cytopenias. Hydroxychloroquine, that is TNF alpha, and one interleukin-1 suppressor. It has retinopathy side effects. Sulfasalazine TNF is also a TNF and interleukin-1 suppressor. It causes hepatotoxicity, stomatitis, and hemolytic anemias. The TNF inhibitor like adalimumab, certolizumab, etanercept, golimumab, infliximab causes infection, demyelination, congestive heart failure, and malignancies. Symptomatic control of rheumatoid arthritis. NSAIDs are the best initial therapy for the pain of rheumatoid arthritis. They work immediately to improve inflammation, but do not prevent the progression of the disease. So that's why we start with NSAIDs in a patient who comes with rheumatoid arthritis. Like DMARDs take at least 1 month to begin the action. So we always start NSAIDs with the DMRD. Steroids also work in matters of heart to control the pain of rheumatoid arthritis secondary to inflammation. Steroids are used when NSAIDs do not control symptoms immediately, as a bridge when waiting for DMARDs to take effect. That's what I said earlier. DMARDs are much slower in onset of action than steroids. The role of glucocorticoids in rheumatoid arthritis. To achieve rapid disease control before the onset of fully effective DMARD therapy, which takes several weeks or even months, suppress inflammation more effective than NSAID, relieve joint pain and tenderness, thus provide symptomatic treatment. Now, glucocorticoids are the most potent anti-inflammatory agents available. They also control disease activity in patients with an inadequate response to DMARD therapy. For this, chronic administration of low-dose steroids are required. Advantages are they decrease the radiographic progression of the joint disease. Adverse effects are osteoporosis. ACRD recommends administration of bisphosphonates in any patient receiving 5 mg per day or more of prednisolone for more than 3 months. We also have intra-articular injections of glucocorticoids in patients with one or more joint involvement. Specific indications are high-dose steroids are used to treat extra-articular manifestations such as vasculitis and scleritis. For the treatment, the general approach to selection of drugs in treatment of rheumatoid arthritis are first, give a DMRD. Methotrexate is the initial DMRD of choice, along with NSAIDs or glucocorticoids, which is added for initial control of the inflammation while awaiting the response of DMRD. Because DMRD takes days or weeks to act, as I said earlier. If the response to appropriate dose of methotrexate or monotherapy is inadequate after 3 months, or if there is persistent high levels of the disease activity on methotrexate alone, combination therapy is normally recommended. For combination therapy, we have a non-biological DMRD, methotrexate, sulfasalazine, hydroxychloroquine. If DMRD triple therapy is ineffective, then use a TNF alpha inhibitor instead of sulfasalazine or hydroxychloroquine. Methotrexate plus biological DMRD. Methotrexate with etanercept or adalimumab or infliximab. The patient does not respond to initial TNF inhibitors, then switch to another TNF inhibitor. Thank you.